Well, I would say Benavidez, but he's too, you know, that weight class is too high for him. So, you know, where he's at now is great.
You know, the skill, the IQ, the movement of Terence Crawford would just be too much for Canelo Alvarez, and that's exactly what happened. I mean,
no, it does not take me too long.
And Terence Crawford,
no,
not really doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts.
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belt.
Turki AlalSheikh has once again ignited the boxing world, this time by calling for a clash between Terence "Bud" Crawford and David Benavidez in 2026. On the surface, it sounds like a fantasy fight, a pound-for-pound master against one of the sport's rising powerhouses, but for fans, it's more than a fantasy.
It's happy. It's something amazing, never have in your life again. I hope to live to see.
It's a collision of greatness that instantly sparks debate across the sport. Crawford, fresh off solidifying himself as boxing's premier fighter, embodies precision, timing, and adaptability. Benavidez, nicknamed the Mexican Monster, is a relentless volume-punching giant whose natural size makes him a menace in the ring. This isn't just a matchup of names, it's a classic clash of skill versus size, a theme as old as boxing itself.
David, do you think Crawford will fight you if he beats Canelo?
I wouldn't fight Crawford. I'm at 175.
What immediately jumps out is the glaring size disparity. Benavidez campaigns at super middleweight, but naturally walks around 175 pounds, even before officially moving up to light heavyweight. By contrast, Crawford's rise has been through natural progression, starting at lightweight, moving...
Like I said, man, that's a big dude, you know what I mean? He ain't even at 168, you know, when you look...
Right now, at 175, yeah.
He probably can't even make 168. When you look at these fights, you know.
Through super lightweight and conquering welterweight, Bud has achieved undisputed status, collected belts across 3 divisions, and earned recognition as the pound-for-pound #1. So when Crawford coolly sized Benavidez up, he didn't do so out of fear, but realism. Bud pointed out what many insiders already know: David Benavidez is no longer truly a 168-pounder. He's
68. When we think about anybody at 168 outside of Canelo, the first name that comes to anybody's mind is David Benavidez. What about the potential for a fight like that?
Oh, like I said, man, that's a big dude, you know what I mean? He ain't even at 168, you know, when you look...
Right now, at 175, yeah.
He probably can't even make 168. But when you look at these fights, you know, especially coming up, you gotta be realistic. You gotta, you know, say, all right, you know, how big is this dude really is? Because David Benavidez, he can fight his ass off.
Built into a natural light heavyweight frame, making him a completely different kind of challenge. Crawford gave Benavidez his respect, calling him talented and dangerous, but underlined the reality, dragging a natural 175-pounder back down to 168 just to meet him isn't an even fight. Crawford's tone here is
trying to test his limits, and they think the money is going to keep getting him out there. That fight is pointless. The fight is pointless because nobody ever talked about that fight until now. And then I don't feel like Bud needs a Benavidez. And then that would mean Benavidez would have to go into a different body and bring himself back down to 68 when he's already getting settled in it.
Part respect and part calculation. This is the mindset of a pound-for-pound king who studies every variable before committing. Great fighters don't survive on emotion, they survive on strategy. This is where the debate gets tricky. Many analysts argue that a Crawford-Benavidez showdown feels more like a promotional creation than a sporting necessity. Benavidez has grown into a full light heavyweight, forcing him to boil down to 168 again would drain his energy, stripping him of the size advantage that defines his style. On the flip side, Crawford climbing into the ring with a natural 175-pounder risks criticism that the fight was unfair from the start. Greg Hackett, a respected trainer and analyst, echoed this sentiment. He pointed out that nobody was seriously talking about Crawford versus Benavidez until AlalSheikh
had some tough tasks in front of him that he wanted to conquer before even talking like that. I don't even think he wanted to talk like that because there's really no point. He wanted the Canelo fight because Canelo was the man at 68. He was at 68. I don't think he cared about fighting Bud, and I don't think Bud cared about fighting Benavidez. That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. Turkey trying to show he got a.
Sheikh stirred the pot. Benavidez's original ambitions were tied to Canelo Alvarez at 168, not Crawford. His eventual move to 175 was natural as his body matured. Crawford, meanwhile, was carving through champions at 140 and later dismantling Errol Spence at welterweight. Their paths didn't intersect naturally, they're being forced together. That's why some call this matchup spectacle rather than sport. Yes, AlalSheikh has the power to stage mega events, but boxing still lives and dies by weight, timing, and career arcs. Trainer Stephen Breadman Edwards analyzed what Crawford would face in such a fight. Benavidez brings height, reach, non-stop pressure, and late-round stamina, all packed into a frame that sits comfortably at 175 pounds. This means Crawford would lose the reach and physical advantages he often enjoys. For once, Bud would be the smaller man with no room for...
At 60, there's no big names at 60. 68, maybe the Benavidez fight. That's a tough fight for Bud. I ain't gonna lie, that's a tough fight. Benavidez ain't no joke. Yeah, that's a tough fight. I don't know if Bud can overcome that. That's different. That's a lot. That's a lot to overcome. Height, reach, the speed of Benavidez coming downhill, the stamina. This a guy that does get stronger as the fight goes also. So some of the advantages he had over Canelo, he wouldn't have at Benavidez. I think it will be a question if Benavidez can make the weight.
Error, but history tells us something important. Crawford thrives when underestimated. At 140, he dominated and became undisputed. At 147, he was told he'd be outgunned by Errol Spence, and he dismantled him in one of the most one-sided super fights in recent memory. Every time the challenge looked too big, Crawford found a way to solve the puzzle. The real question isn't whether Crawford can handle Benavidez's size, it's whether Benavidez can safely return to 168 without draining himself to the point of collapse. Without that balance, the fight risks being more spectacle than skill. Jose Benavidez Sr., David's father and trainer, offered a perspective many fans agree with. Youth and size could tilt the odds heavily in David's favor. Crawford will be 30.
David's too big for Terence Crawford. I think Terence Crawford will be like 38 years old, you know? I mean, it will not be the same as Canelo, man. We know David comes in and throws a lot of punches and put the pressure. And no disrespect to Terence Crawford, he's the best pound for pound. He's in the books to do history. He did something that nobody could do. But at the end of the day, we're talking about the Mexican market.
38 by 2026, an age where reflexes inevitably decline. Meanwhile, David is entering his prime years with size, stamina, and aggression. On paper, that seems unfair, yet greatness in boxing has never been about comfort zones. Crawford has built his legacy on dissecting opponents, adjusting mid-fight, and delivering pinpoint counters when it matters most. Age brings experience and patience. Bud's ring IQ remains unmatched, and that could be his equalizer. David's style, a high-volume, pressure-heavy assault, would undoubtedly test Crawford's defense and patience, but pressure styles often leave openings, and Crawford has made a career out of punishing mistakes. That's where the intrigue lies. Could David overwhelm Bud with sheer physicality, or would Crawford turn his aggression into a liability? Crawford's longtime trainer, Brian Bo McIntyre, responded bluntly to the speculation. In his
Canelo, Turkey job,
people
Turkey
are talking about it.
Turkey hit it at that. He was like Benavidez.
Yeah, he
Turkey.
did.
So
he Turkey just posted at this moment, wondering if Benavidez can make 168. Maybe he has plans or ideas of maybe trying to match up Benavidez and Terence Crawford. No, he ain't doing that fight. Maybe planning on vacating the belts.
No, we ain't gonna vacate the belts. You know, we just gonna sit where we need to sit for a minute, and then, just like I said, get back in the gym and do our thing.
His view, Team Crawford isn't chasing Benavidez. The focus is on keeping belts, staying sharp, and selecting challenges that fit Bud's career path. This isn't about fear, it's about discipline and legacy management. Crawford has never cherry-picked. He has climbed weight classes, fought champions at their best, and emerged victorious. Benavidez, though dangerous, hasn't proven himself as a dominant force at 175 yet. forcing a rushed fight at a non-ideal weight benefits neither fighter. Bomac's message was clear. Crawford will not compromise his strategic approach for spectacle. Every move he makes is calculated. That patience and planning are why he is pound for pound #1 today, and why a fight with Benavidez will only happen if the timing is right. This leads back to the heart of the issue. AlalSheikh can generate headlines, but boxing is governed by weight classes for a reason. Benavidez has settled into light heavyweight. His style, body, and rhythm now belong to that division.
That's just Turkey trying to pull rank. So Turkey trying to show he got a golden arm. You know what I mean?
I understand that Turkey likes to make these big grand events, but there's a boxing aspect to this shit too. Like some stuff gotta make boxing sense. Bringing the dude down that's been comfortable at 75, bringing him back down to 68, and then having him fight a dude that just jumped 3 weight classes in 2 fights and started his career off at 35.
Right.
Like, no, bro. No.
Yeah, I don't want to see that fight. There's no point. There's no point. Like
asking him to cut back down to 168 for a payday risks robbing fans of the real Benavidez. Meanwhile, Crawford has already achieved the improbable, rising from lightweight to dominate welterweight. That journey deserves challenges that make sporting sense, not artificial spectacle. A fight with Benavidez at 168 would invite criticism, no matter the outcome. If Bud won, fans would say David was weight drained. If David won, they'd say Crawford was too small. A true mega fight must allow both men to perform at their natural best. Right now, that simply isn't the case. Still, the intrigue is undeniable. If Crawford and Benavidez ever meet on fair terms, perhaps at a catchweight, or after their careers naturally converge, it could be one of the most daring matchups in boxing history. Crawford, who began at lightweight and conquered 3 divisions, has built his reputation on skill, composure, and timing. Benavidez, the Mexican monster, is a natural 175-pounder whose relentlessness makes him unlike anyone Bud has faced. This wouldn't just be a fight for belts, it would be a fight for history. Could the pound-for-pound king neutralize size, youth, and pressure, or would Benavidez's sheer physicality overwhelm even Crawford's brilliance? Mentally, Bud's edge and ring IQ is undeniable. Physically, David's hunger and natural size give him a dangerous advantage. The clash would be more than a fight, it would be a collision of eras, styles, and philosophies. Fans are already buzzing with predictions. Some back Crawford's surgical counters, while others believe Benavidez's size will simply be too much. One thing is certain, if this fight ever happens under fair conditions, it won't just be another big event, it will be a generational showdown. So, who would you back in this debate? Crawford's precision or Benavidez's power? Drop your prediction in the comments and join the conversation.